Okay, so if you're a cat owner, you've definitely been there. You're standing in the pet food aisle, just staring at this wall of bags, all of them yelling about grain-free this and ancestral diet that. There's this huge, and I mean huge, debate going on about what we should be feeding our cats. And really, it all boils down to one super controversial ingredient: carbohydrates. So let's dive in and actually see what the science has to say about all this.
This is really the question, isn't it? It's the one that has cat owners, vets, even the big pet food companies all arguing. Are carbs the enemy for our cats? Are we, feeding our little fluffballs a diet that totally goes against their very nature? Well, to figure this out, we're going to have to put on our detective hats and maybe our biology hats too, and start at the very beginning, where these animals actually came from.
In this slide, this really nails the whole problem. On one side, you've got the ancestor. Think of a wild, fierce hunter, a true hypercarnivore that lives on mice, birds, you name it. And then, on the other side, well, that's our modern pet, our little buddy curled up on the couch, eating a bowl of kibble that's often just loaded with carbs. So the big questions are, how in the world did we get from A to B? And more importantly, does this massive difference even matter?
All right, so first things first, we have to start with the basics. If we're going to understand the cat sitting on our lap, we first have to understand its evolutionary blueprint. We need to look at what its body was literally designed to eat over thousands of years.
Okay, so you've probably heard this term thrown around a lot: obligate-carnivore. But what does it actually mean? It's not just that cats, enjoy a bit of chicken. No, it's way more intense than that. It means their bodies absolutely must have certain nutrients, things like taurine and arachidonic acid that you can only get from animal tissue. They can't make it themselves. Their entire system, their whole metabolism, is hardwired for a high-protein, high-fat diet. It's non-negotiable.
So what does that natural diet actually look like? Well, when scientists studied feral cats, this is the breakdown they found, and it's pretty incredible. About 52% of their energy, that comes from protein. Another 46% comes from fat. And carbohydrates? A tiny, tiny 2%. That's it, just 2. They'd mostly get that from, say, the stomach contents of a mouse they just ate. So yeah, 2%. Definitely keep that number in your head as we go.
Okay, so the cat's own body actually gives us a ton of clues. It's like a walking, purring piece of evidence. And these aren't just little fun facts or quirks. These are deep, profound evolutionary adaptations that tell a really clear story about what they're supposed to be eating. All right, here's our first clue, and this one might blow your mind a little. Your cat cannot taste anything sweet. It's true. You know how a dog would go absolutely bonkers for a sugary treat? A cat could not care less. They're completely indifferent. And there's a really specific, really cool reason for it.
The science here is just so cool. What this quote is saying is that cats literally have a broken gene for their sweet taste receptor. Think about it from evolution's point of view. If your diet is almost 100% meat and fat, why would you ever need to taste sugar? It's totally useless. So, over time, evolution just switched it off. It's like a feature they didn't need anymore, so it got deleted.
Okay, on to clue number 2. This one is hidden deep inside their digestive system. And when it comes to breaking down carbs, let's just say cats showed up to the party without the right tools for the job, especially when you compare them to omnivores like us or even dogs.
So let's look at how this works. For a lot of animals, us included, the digestion of starchy things starts right in the mouth, with an enzyme called amylase in our saliva. Well, guess what? Cats have basically none of that. And it doesn't stop there. Further down in their intestines, they also have way lower levels of the other key enzymes they'd need to really break down those complex carbs. Plain and simple, their system just isn't designed to handle a big carb-heavy meal.
Okay, so we've got our clues, right? We know they can't taste sugar, and we know their digestive system is not set up for carbs. So now let's tie all of this back to their ancestral diet and really solve this central metabolic mystery of what makes a cat a cat.
And this right here is the real heart of the puzzle. A cat's brain, just like our brain, needs a constant supply of glucose to work properly. We're talking about 3.1 grams a day. But wait a minute. If you look at their natural diet of mice and birds, they're only getting like 2.5 grams of carbs, maybe even less. So, where do they get the rest? How do they close that glucose gap? The answer is this absolutely amazing metabolic superpower called gluconeogenesis. And cats, they are absolute masters at this. It means their liver can take the building blocks from protein, the amino acids, and just make its own glucose from scratch. It's how they fuel their brain and other organs without needing to eat carbs.
So here's the really crucial takeaway. A cat's liver is pretty much always in this glucose-making mode. It's constantly running. Unlike us omnivores, whose bodies can kind of switch gears, burn carbs if they're there, make glucose if they're not, a cat's engine is always on. It's always ready to turn protein into essential fuel. And that is why that high-protein diet is so absolutely critical for them.
Okay, so all of this brings us right back to today. We've seen what a cat's body is built for. Now let's take a hard look at what we're often putting in their food bowls.
Now, this part is just fascinating to me. When you give cats a choice, when you let them pick what they want to eat, they instinctively try to recreate that ancestral diet. It's amazing. In these studies where they could choose from different foods, they consistently landed on a diet that was 52% protein, 36% fat, and only 12% carbs. I mean, just look at that protein number. It's almost identical to what feral cats eat.
And now, let's compare that to what's in a lot of typical dry cat foods. Whoa, the protein is way down, and the carbohydrate content just explodes. We're talking 40%, sometimes even higher. I mean, this chart really says everything, doesn't it? There's this gigantic gap between what a cat's body is screaming for and what we're actually giving them.
So you have to ask the question, right? What happens when there's such a huge mismatch? What are the health consequences? Well, a growing body of research is pointing to a really strong link between this kind of diet and two huge problems: obesity and diabetes.
And this is the number that should really make every single cat owner stop and think. Obesity is the single biggest nutritional issue for cats today. And get this, an obese cat is up to 4 times more likely to develop diabetes. 4 times. The connection there is it's undeniable.
But it's important to know the whole story here is a bit more nuanced. It's not as simple as just saying carbs are evil. The absolute most critical factor for weight gain is just total calories. Simple as that. A high-fat diet can also lead to obesity really easily because it's so packed with energy. And of course, we can't forget about lifestyle. Our indoor cats just don't move around as much, and that's a huge piece of the puzzle. That said, there's one area where it is pretty clear-cut. For cats that already have diabetes, studies show again and again that putting them on a low-carb diet gives them a much better shot at going into remission.
Which brings us to the final big question, the one for you to think about. Now that you know all this, you know about their ancestral blueprint, their weird metabolic quirks, and what they instinctively want to eat, go take a look at the food you're feeding your cat. Read the label and ask yourself, does this diet really honor the tiny, perfect carnivore that's living in your house?